everyone, and welcome to a special Cygnus Destroyer video. If there's one thing that longtime viewers should know about me by now, is that I love beat-em-ups, and I especially love Streets of Rage. I've lost count of how many times I've played those games over the years, and I thought that I'd experienced all that the franchise had to offer, but I was wrong. It's been over 20 years since Streets of Rage 3 was released, yet in spite of this, the community has been very active in keeping the spirit of Sega's premier brawler alive. The unofficial fan site, Streets of Rage Online, is filled to the brim with tribute art, novels, remixes, and ROM hacks. There are hacks of all three games, and they vary in quality, but the majority of them are creative and tons of fun. To begin the journey into a brand new realm of Streets of Rage action, all that's needed are the appropriate IPS patches, which are downloadable from SOR Online, the ROMs of the trilogy, which are easily located with a Google search, and the free software program Lunar IPS. Once the necessary ingredients are assembled, simply apply the patch to the bin file and you're ready to hit the mean streets. The hacks come in all sorts of varieties and cover many variables. Think the original isn't that tough? Then the killer difficulty modification is exactly what the doctor ordered. The enemies attack at a rapid fire pace, and the bosses can kill with one hit. It truly lives up to its title and is perfect for challenge seekers. Speaking of the originals, Adam was always one of my favorite characters, and it was a shame that he was benched for the rest of the series, but no longer. Adam Hunter in Streets of Rage 2 brings Skate's older brother back to the spotlight. This is clearly how SOR 2 should have been all along. Adam fits the heavyweight role much better than Max. He has all of the brawn and is slightly quicker than the wrestler. Plus, he has a wicked blitz attack. Adam rocks, and it felt great to have him alongside his friends and family. Character swaps such as this are the most common form of hack, which range from the conventional to the absurd. On the conventional side of the spectrum, the Extreme Alliance mod replaces the entire cast with traditionally NPC enemies. When I say replace, I mean that literally. The new sprites retain the voice samples and stats of the protagonists. In other words, Rue is Skate, and Ash is the Blaze stand-in. Ash's mannerisms are pretty funny as it is, but that puts it over the top. On a similar note, the Mega Sonic Rage Edition adds even more foes, including the big bad himself, Mr. X. Stepping into the criminal mastermind's shoes is surreal, but unfortunately, he's limited in his capabilities. He can only pistol whip or shoot his gun, which sprays in wide, uncontrollable arcs. On top of that, he can't even jump. It's such a disappointment. What's not a disappointment in the slightest are the mods that switch out our heroes for various pop culture and gaming icons. For starters, there's one where Axel, Blaze, Skate, and Max take a backseat for the genre godfathers. That's right, I'm referring to none other than Cody, Guy, and Mighty Mike Hagar. It's a Final Fight Streets of Rage crossover and a dream come true. This is easily one of the best, and it's obvious that a lot of love and effort went into it. I really dig the new voice samples, especially Cody's Criminal Upper. The only thing that would make it better is if the Streets of Rage crew was retained alongside the final fighters, similarly to the Megasonic Rage mix. As it is though, it's nearly flawless, so definitely check it out. Further on the topic of Capcom and crossovers, there are countless Street Fighter mods! From Chun-Li taking the 5th spot in Streets of Rage 3, To Zangief, Balrog, Cammy, and M. Bison teaming up to defeat Mr. X, the World Warriors are present and accounted for. Did I say M. Bison? Clearly I meant to say Blaze Bison. Words cannot express how much I love this. I've never seen the Shadaloo leader act this flamboyantly before. Care to comment on this, Bison?
I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For me, it was Tuesday.
Okay then. There are plenty of patches that bring the Street Fighter roster into the mix, more than I can actually show, unfortunately, since a number of them were DOA for me. Oh well, at least the one that makes Guile, Ken, and Cammy villains was able to work. I would have been upset if that failed to load on my EverDrive. Also stepping into the ring from Capcom are the Punisher and the frickin' Predator! The Punisher fills Max's role and he moves surprisingly swiftly for a bruiser. Living up to his moniker, Frank Castle is one badass killing machine. On the other hand, the Predator is, well, the frickin' Predator! How awesome is it that the Predator is in Streets of Rage? He's armed with a wicked spear and his weapon upgrades turn into laser beams. That is super cool! The Punisher isn't the only comic book star to make an appearance. The Man of Steel and the Dark Knight enter the fray via the Hero Edition. It was incredibly satisfying to dish out some vigilante justice as the Caped Crusader and to fly back and forth into Mr. X's goons as Superman. Admittedly, it was bizarre that the nigh invulnerable Kryptonian has to use weapons, but I digress. One of my highest recommended alterations brings everyone's favorite green pizza-loving dudes to the party. Yes, it's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Beat-em-up worlds are colliding and I can't get enough of it. The heroes in a half shell lack the opponent flinging ability from Turtles in Time, but they still kick major ass and fans of the 16-bit TMNT titles must try this out. The character changes that I've shown so far have covered the gamut of media forms, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Other notable inclusions are Donkey Kong, RoboCop and Ed 209, even Sketch Turner, making this a semi-sequel to Comic Zone. Pretty much anything you can imagine has been brought into Streets of Rage, the most interesting of which being the tag team of the Blue Blur and the Blue Bomber, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Mega Man. Mega Man stands in for Axel, with Yuzo Koshiro's voice samples intact, so he performs fairly well in this environment. His sprite is huge and cartoonish looking, which I approve of, and his grand upper is very impressive. Sonic takes after Skate, which is understandable due to his size. However, as neat as it is to play as the Sega mascot, the harsh reality is that he just doesn't fit in a brawler. He's way too small and his punches and kicks are laughable. It's hilarious that they're usually lined up at crotch level, and it's amusing that weapons seem to float above his head, but it's a gimmick that wears out its welcome quickly, sadly. There are versions of the Hedgehog in 2 and 3, and admittedly the latter is a little better. He can apparently go supersonic in it, but I wasn't able to figure out how to do it. Ultimately, in the battle over which blue is superior, Mega Man is the clear-cut winner. As should be obvious, there's an almost limitless amount of Streets of Rage ROM hacks, and I barely scratched the surface. Just from this sampling, we see that Mike Hagar, Batman, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the frickin' Predator can all appear in the same game. If you had told me that would be possible in the future when I was a kid, my head would have exploded from the sheer awesomeness. It's saying something when the letdowns like Sonic are still fun to play. If you're a fan of beat 'em ups even a little bit, then it's imperative that you download these IPS files and give them a go. They're free and work on Genesis emulators and flash cards such as the EverDrive that I used. I guarantee that you'll have a good time. Anyway, now that I've wrapped up a video that's been on my to-do list for a while now, it's time for a new episode of the LJN Defender. Well, mostly new. Come back next week for that, but until then, this is Matt, signing out. Thanks for watching, everyone. Come back next week for an LJN Defender episode, but until then, you can check out the videos on the screen right now. On the upper left hand corner, since this is a Streets of Rage video, I figured why not link my review of the original trilogy. Check that out. I love those games. They're amazing games. Some of the best beat 'em ups of all time. It was just a pleasure and a blast to review those games. So check that out. I think you'll like it as much as I liked making it. So yeah, definitely check that out. On the upper right hand corner, because it's a beat 'em up, why not? It's the Turtles in Time reshelled episode of Innocent Until Proven Guilty. I figured, hey, you know, the Turtles were mentioned earlier, showed the Turtles in Streets of Rage, so hey, there's another Turtles video. So check that out on the upper right. Now on the bottom left hand corner, again, because on a similar note, because this is a ROM hack, how about the last time that I covered a ROM hack, which was the Freddy vs. Jason ROM hack of Friday the 13th for the NES, which is pretty cool. You should check that out. You should check out the video and check out the ROM hack too, because it's really cool. But anyway, check that out. And as always, for anyone who's new to the channel, if you like what you saw and you want to see more, click that red box there on the bottom right, and that'll subscribe you to the channel, and you'll be able to keep up to date with all of my current content. So like I said before, come back next week for an LJN Defender episode. But until then, I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye!